Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Play Like a Girl. I'm your host, Gianna Cambria, as always. And this week, I'm so excited to let you guys know that I have an important guest with me. Um, Sorry, something popped up. It might not be live, but it's fine. I have an important guest with me. I skated with her my whole life. I've worked with her my whole life, and she's such a good friend. I'm so excited to let you guys know that we have Angela Mercurio with us here today. Hi, Angela. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for asking and thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
No problem. So let's kick things off with my first question about how you initially got into becoming a figure skater.
So I was 5 years old. I went to a birthday party at the Westchester Skating Academy in Elmsford, and I automatically fell in love with it. I was in all the sports when I was a kid, and throughout my years, I just narrowed it down to skating, and that's what I chose, and that's what I stuck with.
Was it a tough decision to decide between all of them?
It was because I was between ballet and figure skating. Those were like neck and neck. And then I went to point, and I eventually had to choose between point and figure skating because point shoes really mess up your feet. And to do both, I couldn't. So I chose figure skating.
Yeah, it's okay though because they're kind of interchangeable. What you learned from ballet is what you brought to figure skating.
Oh, absolutely.
So, how did your personal accomplishments from figure skating lead you into kickboxing?
So I was always a go-getter, a driven person. And when I retired from skating, doing synchro after 10 years, I was stuck. I had no idea what to do. I started college. You start eating a lot, you start going out, and I just felt like it wasn't me anymore. And I was always used to a schedule and rigorous workouts. And I finally came across this kickboxing place in Eastchester, and I fell in love with it. It was an addictive workout, and I loved it every second.
What would you say is one thing that you learned from kickboxing?
Definitely dedication and hard work because it's not easy, and every class is more challenging. Even though I'm an instructor, it is still hard.
Definitely. Well, so how did you get into becoming a kickboxing instructor in the first place?
So my mom actually started the classes with me, and she brought me in, and they started to lose some instructors. So they approached my mom on a Sunday and was like, "Hey, does Angela want to work here?" And she's like, "Probably." And they approached me and we started talking, and they were like, "Would you be interested in being a coach here? We know you're an ice skating instructor, like you're very dedicated, you have a good ethic, you're a teacher. So would you want to be a part of our team?" And without hesitation, I said yes.
Obviously, what a great opportunity.
Yeah, it was. It was cool. You get to work out and get paid for it. Come on.
So, were you nervous at all when you began teaching instead of being consumer of those classes?
Absolutely. Because I'm used to teaching in front of kids, learn to skate. You're in a class of 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, you put on your little kid voice. And then to be in a room full of 30 to 40 moms and dads and grown adults or people in their 20s is definitely a different vibe.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so how did you differentiate between how you taught the kids versus how you taught the adults?
It's funny you say that because people who have seen me teach with kids and people who have taken my kickboxing classes tell me there's two sides of me. There's like cute, funny teacher Ange, and then there's this woman is scary and I don't want to take her classes because she kicks my butt. but I do definitely find a way to find the difference between the two.
Yeah, definitely. And also, people saying that I'm scared to take her classes, she kicks my butt is just like another way of complimenting the way that you teach.
Oh, absolutely. I love it because they tag me on Facebook when they check in, and it's like, "Oh, Ange kicked my butt today. Come join her class." And it's fun. It's a good workout within myself also.
Yeah. So, how would you say that kickboxing makes you feel empowered as a woman?
It makes me feel like a badass. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it makes me feel so cool to wrap my hands, just get a really good workout in, and having an outlet to punch things is awesome, and you feel so cool doing it. Like,
Mhm,
that's the bottom line. You feel strong every single time, every new class that you try, you just get stronger, and you see such a difference in your body too.
mhm. So that's what I was going to ask my next question. Um, have you noticed a physical difference, but also a mental difference since you have started kickboxing?
Absolutely. From the time that I ended skating and then that period that I, just worked out like leisurely, went to Planet Fitness, New York Sports Club, like did group classes with friends, and then back to like that dedicated, rigorous kickboxing class group vibe was completely different and back to what I was used to. And I saw a difference in my arms, my stomach, and you always challenge yourself. I mean, there's no high level or low level class. It's just what you can do, challenge yourself, and have a good time.
Yeah. So what would you say that the mental differences were that you saw?
I feel mentally good about myself.
Mhm.
Like, I can be proud of who I am and just relieved that I can feel like I look better and I look stronger, and you just give off a more confident vibe.
Yeah. So, how would you say that you embody the concept of female empowerment within the kickboxing classes that you are an instructor for?
So, funny enough, there's a lot of women in my classes, and I tried another gym because I like to see, like, how I can change and how I can improve myself, and it was predominantly men. So, I saw myself and I put myself in the instructor's shoes, and women can do anything. We really can. If we put our minds to it, there's nothing that we can't do. We just have to keep our heads up, our eyes up, and push a little harder, but one day, hopefully, I can see everything being equal and we'll just be as strong, if not stronger.
Mhm. So, have there been, I know you said that it's like more female oriented, but have there been male people in your class who you have taught that listen to you fully, or that they're like, oh, I want to take a class with a guy instead?
I've had both actually. Um, the owner actually used to work with us and he was awesome. And people would prefer his classes, like more of the male side, because he was more of like a taekwondo kind of vibe. And I was more of a more cardio. And this is what we're gonna do, what we're gonna have fun doing it. But I mean, I definitely got some guys saying, "Oh, how old are you? Like, you're trying to teach me like how to punch." And I'm like, "Yeah, I am. Like, this is what we're gonna do." So you just have to like have your head up and show them like you're not gonna intimidate me. This is what we're gonna do, and just stand your ground. And you'll be successful in life if you do.
Yeah. Well, it's just like those adult classes at the rink too, when you get guys that are twice your age and they're like, I'm really going to listen to you.
Exactly.
So, is there a woman in your life who empowers you? And in what ways have you learned from her?
Absolutely. So my mom has been my best friend and such a woman that I can look up to and that I strive to be. Being a single mom at I was 6 and it was just her and I, and she was the best of both worlds. Like, she was my parent when she needed to be, but she was also my sister when and my mom and my friend when other times. And she just encourages me. She is the strongest person, strongest woman I know. And I strive to be exactly like her when I'm older.
So, that's obviously fantastic to have that relationship with your mom. How would you say you're going to bring the life lessons that she's taught you into your life in the future when you have a family?
I always look for her for advice, and she always tells me, "Listen, I've guided you, I've never told you what to do." And I like that because even though I'm almost 22 years old, I still go to her like, "Mom, what should I do?" And she's like, "Angela, listen, like, weigh out your pros, weigh out your cons. Let's talk about things." And then I approach the problem head on.
Mhm.
So that's definitely something that even empowers you because to know how to dissect a problem and then approach it instead of just feeling weak inside and vulnerable, it helps a strong role model to show you that you can do something.
Yeah, definitely. Even for me, like my mom also is the woman that empowers me the most. She always, I was talking about her in one of my classes today, actually, if you're watching this, Mom. I was talking about how you always assure me when something is wrong, and you always tell me to look for the light or live past it, because if you just dwell in what's going on, you're not going to learn from it. You're just going to keep yourself in that bad mental state. So the one thing that she's taught me that I'm going to bring with me throughout my life is that everything happens for a reason, but it's what you make of it.
Absolutely. And I definitely believe everything happens for a reason.
Mm, yeah. Anything good or bad.
Exactly.
So, can you tell us a little bit about Make a Difference Day?
Absolutely. So, this is my favorite thing to talk about. Make a Difference Day was an idea that popped into my head going into my senior year of high school. So, I had to volunteer my time for a nonprofit organization to graduate. And I needed, I think, about 40 hours. And all I knew was skating and school. I didn't know much of anything else. So I had started to work with a few special needs children how to ice skate. And that all started. I had a deaf child in one of my group classes. And I had no idea how to communicate with this child, and I just felt so bad. He was just getting passed on from class to class to class, and the parent, I showed him like with my hands, skate back and forth kind of thing. I mean, later on in my life, I've learned sign language. If I would have known back then, it would have made life a lot easier. But his parents came over to me after and was like, "I just want to let you know you've been the most impactful teacher that my son has had, and he's only been with you for 2 sessions." And that just made me feel good and sad inside because it made me feel great because I'm helping this little 6-year-old know how to skate, but it also made me feel sad that how come nobody else did that?
Mhm,
And I feel like they had enough struggles in their life as it is. Why add on to that? So I created this nonprofit organization called Make a Difference Day. And it is basically an event for special needs children to learn how to ice skate. I started with 8 kids, and the year before COVID was my fourth event, and I had up to 65 kids.
mhm. I mean, I've been to your events and they are incredible. I love them. I love helping you with them. Um,
Thank you. I love having you.
they're one of my favorite things to do because I've also, I think that deaf boy that you taught was in one of my classes actually. And I do remember talking to you about it. I was like, "Have you had him?" And you were like, "I have." And like what you told me helped me push him and make him advance in his skating career, which was just so emotional for me as well, like you were saying. But you've also inspired me to take a sign language class next semester at school.
Oh,
So
I love that. You're gonna have so much fun,
mhm,
especially that you're a skater, a lot of, like, muscle memory. I took Spanish all throughout high school, and I did not grasp any of it, but I can have a full conversation in sign language just because it's a lot of, like, "You're Italian, we talk with our hands,
mhm.
you're gonna be fine."
I learned, I think, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think I learned how to say I love you. Is it want wait, it's ILOVEYOU.
Yes, very good.
So I learned that.
Good
I
job.
know that so far. So obviously jumping off of Make a Difference Day, the month of April is all about Autism Awareness Month. What do you want other people to understand from this, and how can they support it?
I want everybody to know that these kids are not just a label, you have to see beyond that. Every student I have, every child with autism is like a new chapter in a book. What will work for one child will not work for another one. They're night and day. but it all depends how you talk to them because they sense if you're a little hesitant, if you don't really feel comfortable, and that puts them in an awkward situation. So definitely don't just look at them and see that they're just a kid who might never speak, who is nonverbal.
Mhm.
See them as an architect, see them as a doctor, see them as that child, that engineer that is so brilliant that you're going to want on their team.
Mhm. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I actually watched a film for one of my classes called The Sound of Metal. For any of my film lovers out there, you should watch it. It won a Oscar award yesterday for best editing, and the use of sign language was in there. And so were kids. And in the beginning of the film, these kids, you can see that they were upset and distraught about not being able to hear anything. And then a drummer came along and taught them about vibrations. And ever since then, they lived their life learning what they truly wanted to do. One of them became a drummer, or one of them became a doctor, just because that one man came along and taught them how to feel again. And by you doing this event, you're teaching these kids how to feel, but also you're giving their parents something to look up to.
Exactly. I remember my second event, this mom came up to me in tears streaming down her face. Now, I automatically thought her child was not happy or something happened. And she said, I want to let you know that the doctors told me that my child was never able to walk.
Mm-hmm.
And through physical therapy and through a lot of hardships, she finally was able to walk. And she said the fact that she's on ice skates is unreal. She's like, I would never believe in a million years that this was my child. And that
Yeah.
made me feel really emotional because we just look at these kids and, all right, let's have the best experience. But as if you put yourself in their shoes, I feel like they're almost trapped in their own minds, especially the kids who are not nonverbal, and they want to have that conversation. They want to tell you their frustrations and what's wrong, and they just can't. So you have to look at their body language. If something's off, they will definitely tell you. If they're happy, they will definitely show it. And I see a lot of smiling, happy faces at the event.
Yes. Well, that's all you want.
Exactly.
Happy faces.
And happy mom tears.
Yeah. So how did you, I know you said you started this event as a senior. Is that when you first got into teaching kids with special needs or disabilities, or did you get into that earlier?
I got into it a little earlier in my junior year, but not crazy. My junior year in September, the new semester, I actually had that child who was deaf. And then that made me think about everything. And then I got connections through the special needs community, very small, very tight-knit community. And, one post on Facebook about my event and it blows up. I have students who call the rank asking, is it true that Angela Mercurio works here? And I'm like, absolutely, come on over. And before COVID, I had so many students learning how to skate with cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, autism, muscle deficiency. I mean, you remember we had one student on the ice who was in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And we didn't take her out or anything. She just loved being on the ice, being wheeled around, just feeling the cold and being with children. She loved it.
Yeah. So obviously, I know that these kids are learning a lot from you and their parents as well, but what have you learned from these kids that attend Make a Difference Day?
These children are more powerful than I am. They are more driven than I will ever be because they are they are outstanding and they are strong individuals. And I learned to persevere through them, and I learned that my hardships are not as hard compared to what they go through, what their parents go through. And if they can do anything, then we can do anything.
Definitely. So how do you plan on empowering other people throughout the makings of this event?
So definitely throughout the special needs community, just spreading the word, getting as much children as possible at the event, having all the volunteers come, just having them feel good for the half hour that they're out there and feeling that I don't like to use the word mainstreamed or atypical, but they're just like any normal kid having fun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That is 100%. I know I keep saying 100%, but I agree with everything you're saying. Like, you never want to be in a situation where you know a kid doesn't feel like a kid.
Exactly.
Like, that's just not how somebody should grow up. That's not how somebody should look at themselves as or portray themselves as. Like, it's so important that this event is in the makings and is happening for the 5th year
Yes.
because, you know, you're teaching these kids and you're learning from them that it's okay to, like, do this. It's okay to figure skate around the ice. It's okay to do something that you're not used to.
Exactly. And my cousin came to my first event, and now he is a hockey player on the Raptors, which is a special needs only hockey team at WSA. So he found his little niche and he loved it. So
Mhm.
this could be his outlet.
Yeah. So do you want to tell anybody watching and anybody that's going to see this after it's being posted, when Make a Difference Day is, how they can register, how to contact?
Absolutely. So, Make a Difference Day is July 18th. It's starting at 2 o'clock. I will take skaters, non skaters, anyone. I have social media, Facebook. I will give Gianna my flyer so she can post it wherever.
Mhm.
And I need all hands on deck. If you know of any child who is in a wheelchair, has autism, cerebral palsy, anything, send them to me and they will have a great time. But you can just text me or email me at the number and the email, and I need all hands on deck. So, skating, non skating, come on down. We'd love to have you.
Yes, we will definitely send some people down, and I will definitely be there.
Awesome. And you'll make my video again.
Yes, I am going to.
You make the best videos. I can't tell you how many people told me that they cried watching it.
Oh, they're going to cry during this one even more. Just
Good.
So I know that you are in the pursuit of becoming an elementary school teacher. So if this was a scenario that happened in your classroom, what would you do if a little boy came up to you and said out loud to the rest of the class, she can't do that because she's just a girl?
I've actually had this in my classroom before. Funny you say that during recess. Um, One of the little boys came over to me saying, "She can't play with us. This is a boy sport." And I looked at him. I said, "Well, there's no such thing as girl sports or boy sports because if you're able to play, you're able to play." And he just looked at me and he's like, "Well, the MLB doesn't have women." And I looked at him and I said, "Not yet."
Mhm.
So they see things on TV that bring or into the classroom. But I always try to promote equality and an even playing field. And I like to differentiate within my classroom. So if that child does need an extra stepping stone, I will give it to them, but I won't take it away from another child.
Exactly. And the next time he mentions the MLB, you can say the MLB doesn't have girl players, but they have girl broadcasters, girl assistant coaches, girl
Yeah,
everything. The MLB has so many women involved in it.
that's what I told him. He's like, "All right, Miss M, I'm going to hold you to it." I'm like, "You do."
So, how do you plan on breaking the status quo regarding gender ideologies?
I try to promote women as much as I can, through social media and just empowering them, even just doing stuff like this and bringing to light that women can do anything what they put their mind to. And we are just as strong or equally as strong as anybody out there.
Mhm.
And the more people who see this, the more mainstreamed it will be.
Yes. So, why is it so important that you teach this to these third graders, and it's so impactful for them at such a young age?
I always like to say that children are like a blank piece of paper. Whoever speaks to them, whoever shows them new information is just writing on that paper, and that will affect them throughout their life. If they're constantly thrown with negativity, everything is negative, racist, sexist, they're gonna end up being that product of who they are when they were younger. But if you start to show them a little more equality. Well, this person can do that. This person can also go on the moon and become president of the United States, or a woman can be a vice president of the United States. They're going to see that and be like, wow, that means I can do it also. And I think that is really, really important to show them at a young age, because as they get older, they're going to strive for more.
Mm-hmm. And that reminds me of an example that I saw regarding another piece of blank paper. But this time it stayed blank. However, you crumbled it and then you had someone pick it up. And they were like, let's say this is your best friend. Throw the piece of paper, pick it up, uncrumble it. Is it back to normal? Is it perfect, uncrisped? No. And then that's when you would say, well, that's how those words hurt your friend, or that's how what you said impacted her. And she will never go back to who she was before, because that will, or he was before, because that will always be in the back of their minds.
Exactly. And it's true.
Mm-hmm. That's just something to think about, no matter who you are, what you do, or where you come from. Words that you say to people are always going to stay with them, positive or negative.
Always.
So obviously this podcast is all about female empowerment and women supporting women. So what qualities do you believe make an empowered woman, and how do you embody those on a daily basis?
I always say walk with your head up, eyes up, and look the part. Because if a man slouches, they won't notice. If a woman slouches, they notice. So you just have to almost fake it till you make it. Keep your eyes up, your mascara not running, and just live your day better than the next.
Mm-hmm. So how do you encourage those around you to live up to these certain qualities?
Strive for better. Know that everything happens for a reason, and one day everything will be equal, and it starts with you.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't try to make an impact, then obviously things aren't going to go anywhere. So the more events you start, a woman started to make a difference day. A woman is a podcast host on Play Like a Girl. It's these small things that children will look at and then say, well, I can do this. So the more women who start things, the more mainstream it's going to be.
Mm-hmm. And the more that kids go to make a difference day and see that you created this, the more they're going to say, I want to make an event like this in the future.
Exactly. That's the hope.
Well, you know that kid, your little boy Connor, that you always teach.
Yeah.
Do you tell us a little bit about him? Because I know he's one of the main reasons why this event was even in the works.
Yes. So my first event, he was not there. It was pre-Connor. After I met Connor, my life changed within the special needs community. His mom is a wonderful person. She's an advocate for him and for every special needs child that she comes across. And she is a boss within that community. And she put me on the map with everything. And I started coaching him when he was probably 3 or 4, and now he's 9. And even though I can't take him at the rink right now, I tutor him in math. So I still go to his house and I still work on him one-on-one. I babysat him over the summer. And just to see him grow, he started 1 or 2 words, can not really string them together. And now we have full-on conversations of what he did over the weekend. And it's really amazing to see.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's amazing to see in any type of kid, but especially Connor. I've seen it. I've been at the rink with you when you first started teaching him. And 6 years later, he's come such a long way.
Absolutely. I mean, just from little steps and being so scared to full-on hockey player. It's awesome to see.
And hopefully with this event, Make a Difference Day, that I will be posting for you guys soon to go look at, the kids are going to be like Connor, and they're going to attend these annual events, and they're going to learn, and they're going to grow as a person and as an individual.
Exactly.
So my last question, I ask this to everybody. As you know, my podcast is called Play Like a Girl. Why do you think it is important to play like a girl? And what do you think it means to play like a girl?
To play like a girl means to play like yourself. Play who you are, play harder, work harder. Again, keep your head up and just be the best that you can be, and then try to strive for more. Because girls are amazing. Feel that good. Don't get inside your own head and think that you can't do this, because you will and you can. You just have to look beyond that boundary line and strive for more. And being a girl is awesome. And everybody needs to know that and appreciate that.
Yes. You couldn't have said it any better, Angela. Well, thank you so much for being on Play Like a Girl. I loved speaking with you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.
I can't wait to see you in a couple weeks when I move back home.
I know, I'm so excited.
All right, have a good night.
You too. Thanks, Gianna. Bye, guys.
Okay, guys, that was Angela. She has brought so much light to the topic of kids that have special needs and disabilities, being a kickboxing instructor and a coach, and what you can learn from all of that, and also how she carries that into the classroom and how she will continue to carry that when she becomes a full-time teacher in the future. And I think that any kid who has the ability or opportunity to sit in her classroom is going to learn so much and carry it without them through the rest of their lives. But with that being said, this is the podcast called Play Like a Girl for the girls. I'm your host, Gianna Cambria, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.